Let me see.
Pitch black, Caddy Winslow. High self-esteem, fold the window. Pulling up on a pie with my kinfolk. Just fighting for a slice, worth the kimbo. Nowadays, dumb money been slow. It's hard to keep a buck, Ray and Jason Kidno. Keep it real, life a name brand ain't so simple. Bills, kids, and rentos. Lord knows a nigga tired. Back on the pen with an urge. Back on me dealing with nerves. Critics keep giving me shit by the lyrics I flip, so I flip on the bird. No street full of litter, so high I get kicked to the curb. Like I ain't living these words. Thinking a nigga that's stealing the credit for shit that I didn't deserve. Nigga absurd. You see how we did it, huh? The work I've been putting in. The shit I had given up, so many dinners my wife had to get rid of. Now she in the feelings, the P in his feelings, the boss of my business, the bank in my pocket, the problems you got when you go independent. You know my intention is good. In a pit full of woods, where most of these cats are lying. Told me a deer in the woods, that's what they told me before all the hard play. I had to learn it the hard way. Mistakes as an artist we all make. I'm just embracing the falls, yeah, yeah. Look at the way when it crashed. Right in the belly of beast, he never went on a fast. For being too greedy at first, them niggas never did last. Running a couple of fades, only way you get a pass. Yeah, living on principle. Cause karma come back in the end like a seminole. Don't try to bend the rule. You could get smoked in the corner, but that ain't medicinal. This could get physical. Luckily I wasn't with the goons. Too busy writing an interval. Came home and perfected the product in my mama living room. Yeah, with a dream that I get on, yeah. Mama gave me the space, told me go be a star, yeah. You gotta take a fall, yeah. Don't let a roadblock get you upset, but instead go set the bar, yeah. Don't forget who you are, yeah. Wanna get to the top, then you gotta get tough. Sometimes when you lay a good hook, then you gotta get punched. Think it all come quick, tell a boy good luck. My OG said, let me take some now. If you wanna get down, you gotta get up, yeah.
How you guys doing out there? How you doing out there? My name is Tyrone Irvin, and this is Soapbox Heroes. Today, I got a question on my mind, so I had to reach out to the friend of the people, our friendly neighborhood. Well, I can't say neighborhood. I mean more like our worldwide friend of the people, Robert Kelly of Meme Knowledge, Talk is Wild. That Robert Kelly, you know, the one that come and put the political bug in your ear and lead you the right way. Robert, how you doing today, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing terrific, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, man, thank you for coming on. I hope everybody got a chance to watch Meme Knowledge last week. On the last couple of days, I've been telling people, I said, man, they really put out a lot of information on Meme Knowledge. And you even had some people in the chat with some boxing gloves on, ready to go back and forth with you guys, man. How was that, having people in the live chat really going live?
Well, we always welcome anybody to come and to participate in the discussion. That's what it's all about, getting people to, you know, express themselves and to just be involved in the process. I always say that if you don't have to agree with us on Meme Knowledge, but be active and be part of the process and think for yourselves. And I think that's always going to be progress for our people, for sure.
Right. I think that's a very noble thing to do, trying to make people think for themselves, because I'll be honest, that's a task. Don't get mad at me. I know some people gonna be like, oh, shut up, Tyrone. But I think that's a task from what I have been noticing. But today I got some questions for you, Robert. I'm gonna need you to answer them. I'm gonna need your help.
All right.
Bernie Sanders wants to forgive student debt, right? Which, okay, I get it. But is he kind of like putting the ADOS movement on the back burner, because he said no to reparations, but he's saying yes to forgiving the debt of students? What do you think? Is that putting the ADOS on the back burner just a little bit?
Well, if you mean if it's putting the American descendants of slaves on the back burner, no, it's not, because a lot of American descendants of slaves are actually saddled with crippling student loan debt. And if the and for loan debt forgiveness of $1.6 trillion would help the Black community so much. It's you cannot, even the people that don't necessarily agree that it should be done right now, like some of the members of the ADOS movement, they still can't say it's a bad idea.
Okay, it's not a bad idea, but that's not just for the ADOS movement. That's just not for the ADOS. That's something that's for everybody. And so people will say, I don't have any student loan debt, so that wouldn't help me. That'll just help the ADOS that are students. So again, do you think that is putting ADOS in the back burner in any way, shape, or form?
Well, no, I don't. If you don't have student loan debt, then trust me, your neighbor has student loan debt. Someone in your family has student loan debt, and because of it, it has limited your opportunities as well. Don't think about this inside of yourself. One of the main things I want to point out right now, the income gap between whites and Blacks in America is massive. It's about 12 to 1, 12 times, in terms of salary,
Okay.
or in terms of overall economics or money income into the household. Did you know that simply by this bill being passed and relieving $1.6 trillion of student loan debt, it would shorten that gap to actually to 5 to 1?
It was shortened it from 5 to 1. You're saying if
right. So
if the student debt was forgiven,
right? Black people actually have per student. Black students actually have more student debt per student than white people normally do, and because of the income disparities, they usually have less in the way of the ability to pay their student loans off, and so they're trapped in a cycle where they're incurring a lot of interest. But if we were to totally take that out of the equation,
okay, go ahead.
Now, that would do so much for the homes of millions of us. And people want to try to act like Black people don't go to college like that, but that's false. A lot of Black students go to college, and when you combine this with the fact that it's in conjunction with free public college for everyone and full funding of historically Black colleges. So if your student wants to go to a historically Black college that happens to be a private school like Howard, okay, they'll be able to go for free. The opportunities for Black people in this bill are like nothing we've ever seen before.
But we don't want to. We want something directly for the African descendants of slaves, for ADOS. ADOS people built this country, not with the help of other people. So ADOS wants something for ADOS and for nobody else. What do you say about that? Somebody else is gonna get some student loan forgiveness, and so ADOS wants something directly for ADOS.
Well, it is directly, because if you think about your household, and I know you are like me, Tyrone, where you have small children,
yes,
have dreams and aspirations for those children. You want them to have every advantage and opportunity that they could possibly have to have the kind of life that they want. And if just imagine now, you don't have to worry about if your child wants to go to a university and actually does the work to get into that university that he wouldn't be able to go simply because we couldn't pay for it. That would no longer be a worry with this bill. That would directly help us. That would help us in terms of education, and in terms of, economics. To think that, oh, I only want something that only helps American descendants of slaves. That is not what is going on in America. That's not American right now. To say that, oh yeah, of course we were slaves and we had a totally different American experience than anyone else. But to look a gift horse in the mouth, it's like, I'll quote Lil Wayne. He's a really wise guy. He said, they say they want to eat because they ain't ate nothing, but then they want to leave when you say you're out of mustard.
So they want to leave when you out of mustard. All right, but look, there's still people are going to say this. There are a lot of programs and things that were given directly to certain groups of people. Why, when it comes to Black people, can we not get something directly for us without something that's being spread for everybody else? So
you mean like the United Negro College Fund?
Yes, like the United Negro College Fund, but
we have it.
Right, but has that been watered down? Do all that money go to Negroes? I'm not sure. I'm asking you.
It does. So, and United Negro College Fund has done a lot of things, a lot of great things for the community. But imagine, and it's fully funded by people that support the United Negro College Fund and give to them. Like, our people are charitable, and we give to the United Negro College Fund. And not only Black people, but other races give to the United Negro College Fund to help Black people go to college. But think about it like this. Imagine if we could take that same kind of usefulness and resources, and that's just one less thing that we have to worry about. Every Black kid that deserves and wants to go to college has that opportunity automatically without saddling their families, which are already maybe poor, without, with debt. So now that that's out of the way, we have an opportunity to look to other things, to look to other places to allocate our resources, and it will directly affect our community in ways that only the short-sighted would scoff at.
All right, Robert. Well, we're going to have to call me short-sighted because I want something only for the Blacks. I'm just kidding you. I just got to be the devil's advocate because this is what we hear a lot, and so I'm going to try to present the other side of the argument.
Right.
Just
if
so
you want
people
something only for the Blacks, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create it.
Well,
what's stopping someone from creating opportunities only for Black people? There's no one stopping them from doing that. But to sit back and whine and say, I want something just for the Blacks is it's selfish, first of all. And second of all, there's no high level thinking associated with it.
Well, it's restoration. It's something that's owed to the Blacks. So it's not as if it was just being given to the Blacks, but something owed to the Blacks. Like that $5 you owe me from when we was in high school. You don't owe me $5, but you know what I mean. It's just something from the past that people feel that it's restoration for all the times that Black people were skipped over for certain things and other groups got to benefit off of those things. You could go back, you people are talking about redlining, the different gentrifications and, negritude, all these different things. They're saying there were things that were directly for other people. So now us as ADOS, we want our own and we don't want to share it with nobody. So, and this is my question. If it's here, I'm going to bring it up and we could we'll also listen to the clip of Bernie speak for himself so we can see what Mr. Sanders had to say. All right. Okay. And so Bernie wants to cancel 1.6 trillion in student debt. And so this is what I've heard people say. If you could come up with a plan to get 1.6 trillion for student debt, how come Bernie won't come up with a plan to get 1.6 trillion for reparations?
Okay, so first of all, reparations is fair to me. I am a supporter of reparations. So, but I don't think that you need to support one or the other. I do. This is what I've always said, and you can go back to my previous appearances on Soapbox Heroes. Reparations in a vacuum means nothing. For instance, say, for instance, he abandoned this plan and said the $1.6 trillion we were going to forgive, let's just take that $1.6 trillion and disperse it amongst Black people and send them some money, right?
Right.
Now, say I get my reparations check and I have crippling student loan debt, and now I have to pay $140,000 of student loan debt. I pay it off with my money.
Right.
And then I have medical bills and and I have maybe some kind of medical condition that I have to continuously pay medical bills for and pay insurance and things of that nature for. So now I'm paying that person, right?
Right.
And now I'm, still in a situation where I have to, support my family. I'm spending money in different kinds of ways to pay off personal debt, credit card debt, things of that nature. I got reparations, but who's getting paid? The same people that you say oppressed you are the people getting paid now.
Well, that would be my choice where to spend it. I just want my check, Robert.
Well, reparations, but that's the thing. Reparations in a vacuum. You say you're going to choose where to spend it, but trust me, the first thing people are going to want to do is get out of debt. And if you don't want to, if you're not trying to get out of debt and you're just trying to stay in debt, it won't be long before they begin to garnish your wages and take that money from you. See, that's the thing. Your creditors will be coming after you if you get reparations in a vacuum. So
because they're gonna know that I have it. So you say the creditors gonna come after me?
Absolutely.
Well, let me pay off my debt to my creditors. Let me choose what to do with my money. I want my reparations, Robert.
Well, it might be good for you, but what's good for the people? Is it really reparations if all it does is get white people paid? Because you got to remember, white people run those industries, right? The credit card industry, the student loans, that's government. You're giving the government their money back. It's just, what is it? It's not, it doesn't work together. They don't work together well. So let's work on reparations for sure, right? But let's work on it in conjunction with other programs to make sure that no one has to be left behind in that no one has to worry about medical expenses. Nobody has to worry about student loan debt. Nobody has to worry about, just some of the things that keep us from advancing, because it's not just about having a bunch of money if you have poor credit. And anybody that has money and poor credit will let you know that.
All right. Look, Robert, here, I got I have the clip brought up. Let me go ahead and play this. Bernie Sanders. We're going to hear what Bernie have to say for himself so people could hear the proposal and his ideas itself. So let me know if you want me to stop it at any point. It's 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Hey, when you guys jump in, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you could be notified. We're talking about Bernie Sanders and is he leaving ADOS on the back burner with his proposal to forgive student debt? Let's hear what Bernie has to say.
Today, the major Wall Street banks are larger than ever. Their profits are soaring, and their CEOs receive huge compensation packages. Our proposal, which costs $2.2 trillion over 10 years, will be fully paid for by a tax on Wall Street speculation, similar to what exists in.
You hear that, Robert? He said that it'll be paid for off of Wall Street speculation. So it sounds like he's going to levy some type of tax on Wall Street, on stocks and stuff.
Right.
All right, let me go forward.
Dozens of countries around the world. The American people bailed out Wall Street. Now it is time for Wall Street to come to the aid of the middle class of this country. It is time to hit the reset button. Under the proposal that we introduced today, all student debt would be canceled in 6 months.
Did you hear that? He said all student debt will be canceled in 6 months.
Yeah, and why not? The government about 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that, they took over all student loans because they saw inequity and price gouging in the industry among the capitalists that were the people that were giving out loans to students. So the government gives out all the student loans. They can very easily forgive all the debt And yeah, that's why he said in 6 months, because it'd be that quick, because it's a government program that gives out all student loans.
Okay. Gregory Hayes says the ADOS leaders work for the establishment. Young Tebow, Thunderbird says, notified. Thanks for jumping in. Hey, Robert, I meant to tell you tonight or tomorrow. I was going to do it last night, but I got caught up, and Facebook don't let me send out links and stuff. But we're going to do Blacks for Donald Trump. So that's going to be an interesting show. Hopefully you'll watch it. Let me
I'll watch it.
Let me play some more Bernie right here. Let's see what else Bernie is talking about. But again, people are saying if he could come up with this for student debt, how come he can't come up with the same plan for reparations? Let me play him some more and we'll get right back into that question.
All right.
By taking this action, we not only provide immediate financial relief to 45 million Americans who have 1.6 trillion in debt, but we will.
And out of that 45 million, how many of them are going to be ADOS?
Enough.
Okay.
Enough.
Okay.
I don't know the official number, so I'm not gonna give a false.
Yeah, I definitely. But
I know
enough. You're saying it's going to be enough.
I need my fingers and toes to count educated brothers and sisters that I know personally that will automatically benefit from that, because they incurred massive amounts of debt just to get an education, to get a decent job, make a life for their family.
Okay. And we got Salik YML. Professor, what do you think? Is Bernie Sanders putting ADOS on the back burner because he wants to come up with 1.6? Well, he wants to erase 1.6 trillion in student debt. But people are saying, how come he can't do that with the ADOS? Let us know, Salik. We're going to get back into it. Let's see what we got.
Be improving the entire economy. Let's be clear. The millennial generation was told that the only way they would get the good jobs available is if they received a college education. Unfortunately, that turned out to be bad advice. It was wrong. Since 2000, the cost of attending a public college has nearly doubled. Meanwhile, the bottom 60% of college graduates earn less money than those who graduated college did 19 years ago. And wages for the average college graduate have stagnated.
Let me rewind.
But today
that
we
again.
are. Cost of attending a public college has nearly doubled. Meanwhile, the bottom 60% of that the only way they would get the good jobs available is if they received a college education. Unfortunately, that turned out to be bad advice. It was wrong. Since 2000, the cost of attending a public college has nearly doubled. Meanwhile, the bottom 60% of college graduates earn less money than those who graduated college did 19 years ago. And wages for the average college graduate have stagnated. But today we are, in fact, offering a revolutionary proposal.
You see him throw up the spirit fingers, the air quotes when he said revolutionary. He's trying to say, he's saying this isn't even revolutionary. This is just something that should be done.
Like y'all are looking at this like it's something that's a big deal. This is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer in improving the lives of all Americans. This is a no-brainer.
Young Tebow, let me know what you think, Thunderbird. What you think about this? Is Bernie Sanders putting ADOS? Is this a bait and switch? Is this going to get the ADOS movement out of the headlines? Because now people are going to start talking about, hey, I feel sorry for you guys, but I'd rather take my student debt. Well, let me know what you think, Thunderbird. Let me get back to it.
But today we are, in fact, offering a revolutionary proposal. A proposal that will transform and improve our country in many, many ways. In a highly competitive global economy, when we need the best educated workforce in the world, this proposal will make it possible for every person in America to get all of the education they need, regardless of their financial status.
Okay. They want to show me 10,000 ads after. Okay, Philibert. Okay, Philibert. So what do you think about that, Robert?
You know what? I love it. I love it. There is nothing wrong with what he said. The absolute, this is the truth. It used to be that back in the day, not our parents or our grandparents or even our great grandparents, this was the formula. Go to school and try hard and get good grades. Get out of school, get a degree on something you want to do. Go work for a company, work for that company for about 30 to 45 years, retire, get a pension, and you lived a good life. Buy a house, build up equity, those type of things. Okay? That was what the plan was. And that worked for our great grandparents, our grandparents. It worked less for our parents. And now you see that plan itself does not work. It's not the same thing, but the formula stayed the same. So meanwhile, while our parents and grandparents and great grandparents are passing down the formula that, hey, get good grades, go to school, get an education, get a college degree, do whatever it takes to get that degree, because you're going to get a good job. You're going to work for that company about 30 to 45 years. And when you get out, you're going to get a pension and they'll always take care of you. That is not happening anymore. These things this is truly just not the reality of how the economy works for regular people now. And because of that change, even people with high educations are having a hard time making ends meet. They're having a hard time finding those jobs that they were promised, because the industry has changed. We're in a new age. We're no longer in any kind of industrial age where people are working at a factory or we're working in an information age now. Okay. And they're not teaching, and people need to, and education is just now catching up to that, where they're starting to teach more of the skills, 21st century type skills. But people that are saddled with that kind of debt and things of that nature, they're not going to be able to take advantage of what's going on in the market and re-educate and retrain themselves in order to be ready for a 24th century economy. And they're getting caught up. And this is just a way to help those people, those hardworking Americans, the best and brightest of us, the highest achieving of us, get the opportunities that they have worked so hard to attain.
Okay. I've heard people say that by him forgiving the student debt, that does nothing for the people who need it the most, because they're saying the people who have student debt are the people who went to college and have an education, but there's people who never went to college, never could afford to go to college, and these people won't benefit from this whatsoever. So
that's funny. That's funny that he said that, because he just announced that in conjunction with forgiving the student loan debt, he was going to make public universities free for everyone. So that means that person that may be sitting right now, so that young man, a young woman that doesn't know what their future is going to be, that doesn't want to take on all kinds of debt just to get an education, that young man that wants to go to college but he can't afford it and his parents can't afford it. Guess what? Now he's going to have an opportunity to go to any school he deserves to go to or can get into because of that. So the person that said that was just wasn't informed on everything about the bill. It's not just forgiveness of the debts for the people that have the debt, but it is also making sure that no one else has to go into that debt, because it's going to make public universities free of charge for every citizen.
Okay. Thunderbird says, yes, because think about it. People from different backgrounds going to jump on that. Only blacks and Democrats care about ADOS, SMH. So he's saying only blacks and Democrats care about ADOS, but he's saying that there's other people who are going to jump on the student debt forgiveness. And that's what it is. It's for everybody. It's not something that's specifically for black people. Well, right. Or ADOS.
Right. Bernie Sanders is running for president of the United States of America. He's an American president. Why would he do something? Why would you not applaud him for doing something that benefits all Americans? That's what he's supposed to do. And I don't understand. What you don't see, though, is you don't see any Republicans running up and saying this is a good idea. And that troubles me. And that troubles me. I wonder if they're just trying to stand on the opposite side of Bernie, or do they really it's not their money, so I don't know why they give it down.
Okay. Here, Salik says, Professor says, I haven't given any energy to this thought or focus. The politicians change up at every moment and playing on the emotions of the people in order to win them over. Where is the cut and the money coming from?
He just said that it was going to come from taxing the Wall Street speculations, which they make billions of dollars a year. Now, not only that, when you think about it, this is not something, when you're talking about Bernie Sanders, that he's doing to play on emotions. Bernie Sanders has been super consistent. If you go back 30 years and look at videos of Bernie Sanders when he was the mayor of Burlington, he was just the mayor and he was still saying stuff like Medicare for all. He was trying to get Medicare for all done on the state level when he was when he was the mayor of Burlington. Ever since he's been in Congress, he's always talked about Medicare for all. He's talked about free college. He's talked about those types of things. He's always had this same message. That's why, even though people are talking about it right now because he's announced legislation that he's introduced as a senator, so he's actually running for president, but he's doing the work as well. No one was surprised. No one's saying, I'm shocked to hear that Bernie Sanders did this, or this was a shocking surprise move. No one said it was a surprise because they know Bernie Sanders. And you know that Bernie Sanders, if you know him, you know this has always been him. It's so authentic. That's one thing one reason why you can trust that Bernie Sanders is dead serious about this. He's not pandering for votes. And this is something that, as president or without winning the presidency, he's still going to fight for regardless.
Okay. And look, the other half of meme knowledge, hey, you guys make sure you guys tune into that meme knowledge. Yep. Gregory Hayes says, also, there's so much money. Oh, it scrolled down real quick. He says, also, there's so much money in America that we could do this and address the ADOS issue, which leads me to another question. Let me ask you this, Robert. Do you think that Bernie Sanders will sign reparations if it passes desk? Do you think that he says no because it's not palatable as a politician to actually run on reparations?
I know for a fact that he would sign it if it passes desk, and this is why. Because Bernie is a populist candidate. Bernie is a guy, he's a man that actually has shown that to listen to his constituency. As in, for it to get to his desk, it would have to go through the House of Representatives, and then it would have to go through the Senate, and through those processes of committees and things of that nature. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to turn his face onto something that the American people want, that these Congress people actually got together and agreed on, and say, you know what, I'm going to be the one that stands in the way of people getting reparations. Because it's not like he's not against reparations. He has spoken out. His plan for reparations was not cash reparations, but you got to remember, it's about what passes through the legislature. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think reparations in whatever form, if well thought out, passes through the legislature, he's going to sign it.
So you think that he'll sign it? Do you think, and we just being honest here, do you think that he outright says no? Do you think that somebody will be elected as president in this next term in 2020 if they just outright say, you know what, I'm 100% for reparations? Do you think that candidate could possibly be elected?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because reparations, to Black people, reparations is a very big issue, but to the rest of the nation, it doesn't fall, I don't think, as high in the radar. And so it's almost like, oh, you want reparations? Fine. You don't want reparations? Fine. Like, I think a lot of people I think there's a group of people that are like, hell no. I think there's a group of people that said for sure, no matter what. And I think there's a larger group of people that are saying, what about my healthcare? But what about, you know what I mean? But what about healthcare? What about the environment? What about, you know what I mean? They're asking about the more important issues. And I think that if you had the right stance on the most important issues facing Americans today, that it doesn't matter what you think about reparations. And that's just being as honest as possible.
Okay. So do you think forgiving the debt for, let's say, a medical student who has went on to become a doctor, is that beneficial for somebody who's poor?
Yes.
How?
because it allows the physician to be a better physician for sure. Because the thing about being a physician is just because you went to medical school and you get out doesn't mean you don't have to continue your education. See, they're continuously taking on debt because they have to continue to educate themselves. They have to continue to stay cutting edge later. But if they are saddled with debt and aren't allowed and aren't able to pay for their school, see, there's an assumption that just because someone's a doctor that they're rich. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. There's rich doctors and they're not so rich doctors. And the more that we allow the worst doctors to become better, per se, for lack of a way of saying it.
Okay.
The better that we all end up.
Okay. Well, here, let's go ahead and listen to Bernie Sanders one more time and see what Bernie has to say about this. And I'll ask a couple more questions. We'll wrap up this topic, and then we were going to talk about Elizabeth Warren. And also, you wanted to draw some contrast in between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. So I think it might be good for us to do that before we actually even go into the story about Elizabeth Warren. So I'm going to show this, and we're going to hear what Bernie has to say. Again, talking about student debt forgiveness. And this is on Face the Nation, but we better than Face the Nation around here. You guys go ahead, hit subscribe. Hey, hit that little forward arrow and share this to your Facebook page. We need some subscribers. We trying to build around here, So here, let's hear what Bernie Sanders has to say. Feel the burn. I'll unmute it after this 9 more seconds in this commercial. Always advertise too.
Our message of guaranteeing health care to all people resonates with a significant majority of people who are going to vote Democratic. I think making public colleges and universities tuition free and very substantially lowering student debt, which is an incredible burden on an entire generation of people, is going to win us a lot of support. The war in Iraq, Margaret, was a disaster. I believe from the bottom of my heart that a war with Iran would be even worse, more loss of life, never-ending war in that region, massive instability. So I will do everything I can, number one.
Okay, and then again, we have Bernie right there giving some policy thoughts. Let me shut that down. We got Bernie talking about some policy proposals that he wouldn't mind having, some things that he wouldn't mind seeing. And again, he's talking about the student debt. And so I hear you, Robert. You got anything that you want to say about that in closing, about the student debt forgiveness, and tell the people of ADOS how this is not putting ADOS on the back burner? Because a lot of people feel that that this is putting ADOS on the back burner, because what it's going to do is make people be more excited about the student debt forgiveness and instead of the reparations, because there'll be people out there that'll say, hey, you know what? Reparations don't really affect me, but I do have some student debt. So I don't mind about you guys not getting reparations. Go ahead and address that, Robert.
Well, debt, when someone is in debt and they have no way out of it and they have tremendous interest payments to make, it destroys their quality of life. Okay. It changes the way that you eat. It changes the way that you live. It changes the way you think. It changes your options. It changes your children's options. Mm-hmm. Okay. It puts you in a position where you're living in by what you can do instead of what you want to do. And no one wants to be and that way as much as they possibly can. The reason that people do the things that they do for their family is so that their family can have options and freedom. Okay.
Right.
This debt forgiveness is going to free up people from making crazy payments on their student loans. It's going to take that money and put it directly back in their household. It's going to take people's credit scores, and it's going to raise their credit scores so that they have more opportunities to start businesses. They have more opportunity to provide a future for their family.
Okay.
And they have a ability to invest, with just the extra money and things that would create just on a monthly basis for the average household. and that directly helps Black people. I don't care how you slice it. And as far as considering, if you consider yourself ADOS and you want to put yourself in that small sphere, and you only want to worry about what affects that small sphere of people, but you can't look at the bigger picture, then what that kind of spirit, that kind of thoughtfulness is not going to be it's not going to be conducive to any kind of movement to get reparations done anyway. If you're small thinking and you're in that small bubble, you're not going to get anything done anyway. In America, people are power. And the more that you cord yourself off from other people, the less power you have. And so if you want to continue to do that, then you deserve to be on the back burner, because that's not how you get things done in America.
Okay. I hear you. And so look, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. And you wanted to draw a contrast in between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Why don't you go ahead and do that before we go ahead and pivot into this last story about Elizabeth Warren. I think I said Elizabeth Sanders. Sorry, Mr. Bernie. Sorry, Miss Elizabeth. But yeah, before we pivot into this Elizabeth Warren story, and we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Warren wants reparation for same-sex couples. And so that's what we're going to pivot into. But go ahead and give us a breakdown on the difference between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders.
Well, Elizabeth Warren, she also has a debt forgiveness. So it's basically like she takes the best things that she can think of from Bernie Sanders, but stylizes them for corporate to kind of appease corporate America as well. She lacks political courage, and she's always been sucking up to the establishment. Case in point, even though she has a lot of policies that kind of or talks about policies that kind of agree more with Bernie Sanders' style of politics and style of legislation.
Okay.
She actually backed Hillary Clinton in the last election instead of Bernie Sanders. So
Okay.
she went with the establishment. She went with the establishment choice as opposed to backing her own principles and the things that she supposedly stood for up until that point. She has come out as a staunch capitalist. Well, she kind of just said, I think she says that she's a capitalist. I know she's a capitalist because she tries to straddle the fence in terms of appeasing big business, who she does take donor money from, corporate interests, and she's trying to straddle the fence with that, but also trying to appear as someone that wants to see people prosper. And you're not able to do that. And I will give you an example. Of course, like we're talking about the student loan debt forgiveness. Her student loan debt forgiveness program is for depending on your income, current income, up to $50,000 of student loan forgiveness. Now, considering the fact that many people have triple-digit student loans, that's not going to help enough people. That's not going to have any impact. And that word "up to $50,000," I think anybody knows that when someone says "up to," it pretty much means
It's
that
gas money.
Yes, very few people are going to get that $50,000 of forgiveness, but somewhere in that range between, I guess, $0 and $50,000 in terms of forgiveness, and it'll be based on your income. When you do that, what you do is you create inequity. You don't get the job done. You don't do what is supposed to be what's supposed to be done in terms of what the whole thing behind the debt forgiveness is supposed to be addressing. You're not addressing the issue truly, but
Right.
you're appeasing people like big corporate entities and rich people that say, well, I already paid my student loans, or I never had student loan debt, or people that just don't relate. Now, but that gives you one example of how Bernie Sanders he's going for total forgiveness. He's going for Medicare for all. She's backed off of Medicare for all several times. Okay. In favor of a public option and things of that nature, expanding Obamacare and things of that nature. So she pretends to be a progressive, and the fact that she pretends to be in a progressive and tries to draw voters in that progressive space, but at the same time waters down progressive ideas and throws out policy after policy of things that she has that do not excite people to vote and does not energize the base. And will voting for her, she will, if she becomes president, you will find that she actually has a hard time getting things done, kind of in the wave of Barack Obama, because she's always looking for the quick compromise and compromising her political courage whenever there's any social or political pushback from the other side.
Okay, let me ask you this. I heard a lot of these same things said about Hillary Clinton, and I'm not mentioning that because they're both women, but just a lot of the criticisms, a lot of the things that you just said about, being politically expedient, pro-capitalist, and Hillary Clinton was even a bit of a warmonger, if I'm not mistaken. Are there any similarities, or is that what I'm hearing?
Well, Hillary Clinton was basically a right winger. I would say that Elizabeth Warren is a little bit to the left of Hillary Clinton. She's more of a centrist.
Okay.
But right now, a centrist isn't going to beat Donald Trump. And if the whole thing is about winning the presidency for the Democrats and defeating Donald Trump, you're going to need someone that's operating further to the left, someone that is the anti-Donald Trump. But Elizabeth Warren, who claimed Native American heritage, even though she's white as the pure driven snow, she, for instance. But when they were trying to build that pipeline, when Donald Trump wanted to build that pipeline through those Indian lands, she wasn't there standing up for those people, for her brother and sister Native Americans, because she lacks political courage. She's afraid of alienating any one section of people. But that's the thing. When you choose a side, you are going to on another side of that alienate a certain group of people that don't agree with you. She's trying to find solutions that kind of appease everyone, but it's not solving the problems for anyone. And so what we're going to get is things like, for instance, and Hillary was in that same mode because she got that. She thought that being like that was what makes you successful, kind of like a Barack Obama. And that's how we end up with things like Obamacare, where we have a Republican health plan basically now that where poor people are still paying massive premiums and copays and paying a lot for prescriptions, even though it improved healthcare for some. So you got a watered down version of a good healthcare plan. And more the same with Elizabeth Warren. She is of that ilk. Okay.
So something like what Professor said earlier, she's a politician that'll do whatever it takes to please the people. Just at that particular time.
Right.
Politically expedient is what a lot of people want to say it, would call her. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll over to the next story real quick while we're talking about Miss Warren, who is running for president of these here United States of America. Maybe I could be the press secretary. I think I look good behind the podium right here. Let me see. And you guys let me know what you guys think of this. If you're watching, when you watch, if you watch right now, hit subscribe. If you watch in 2025, hit subscribe. We're going to still be here doing this. This is what we do. My name is Tyrone Irvin. This is Soapbox Heroes. And again, we have the friend of the people, Robert Kelly of Meme Knowledge and the coming soon Talk is Wild. So what we got right here, it says, Warren thinks LGBT couples should get a check to make up for lost marriage tax benefits. 5 things you need to know. And this is what people are saying, this is why people are saying that she's giving reparations to same-sex couples. This headline right here out the Daily Caller says Elizabeth Warren wants reparations for same-sex couples. What you think, Robert? Just based on what the headline says, and I'll scroll down and we could get into the article.
This is terrible. This is the type of shit. This is the type of shit I was just talking about. It's terrible. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You see, because what happens is this. This is what political expediency looks like. When something's hot in the news, you try to bring it up and make some kind of impact about it. Okay?
Right. Jumping in front of a trending topic.
And you do, if you're running a campaign, you do need to make sure that you're always interjecting yourself in the conversation. Like when Warren came out with her up to $50,000 of forgiveness, Bernie Sanders, because people are saying that's how progressive is Elizabeth Warren. Bernie Sanders comes right over the top of her ass and dunks on her. Okay, that's what's up. That's political expediency, but you're listening to the people, right?
Right.
This is desperation. This is a desperate.
She's panhandling for votes is what Robert is saying. Okay,
let me read it. To appear more progressive. So she's like, okay, well, out for reparations. She already has spoken on reparations for Black people.
Right.
And she's not against it.
Yeah.
Okay?
She's not against it.
It's not one of the main things in her campaign, though, so she doesn't talk about it a lot. But she does. She just said when behind this whole congressional meeting about reparations, well, how can I interject myself into this media about reparations? What can I say that hasn't already been said? What can I add to the conversation? Oh, reparations for what about gay people that were married before 2015 so that they could, couldn't take advantage of federal tax breaks. Let's give them their money back. Like, that's a reach.
Right.
Because think about it like this. Marriage, some people think of marriage being a religious thing. And that was the grounds under which they tried to say that gay people couldn't get married in the first place because it was a religious thing or it was by God and a man and a woman God union thing, that kind of bullshit.
Uh-huh.
But what we've done by making it so that gay people can be married, which I agree, get married. Anybody should be able to marry whoever they love, right?
Right.
Is to say that marriage is something that is purely of the state. Like America recognizes marriages. It's a contract within the social contract, and we cannot discriminate against people, you know what I mean? Because we're the government, right?
Right.
So if that's a government thing, then let's go back. Back then, what was the law? The law was that the government did not cover that contract within the social contract. Therefore, they're not entitled to reparations.
Right. Right.
So
I understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you're saying. Here, let me get back to what Miss Elizabeth Warren had to say. I couldn't find any actual video footage of her saying this, so I only have the clips. I mean, the articles, and so here, let me read it.
Oh, get that Twitter feed. That Twitter, that's her. That's a quote.
Yeah, that's a direct quote. Okay. Right here it says Senator Elizabeth Warren, D from Massachusetts, that means Democrat from Massachusetts, wants to pay back LGBT couples for taxes that they paid into the federal government, which they paid at a higher rate because they were denied joint status. While reparations for slavery were front and center during last week's congressional testimony, Warren wants to see reparations paid to the LGBT couples who were denied the marriage tax breaks. So that's what would make I would have to ask the same question. Is she, as we did for Bernie Sanders, is she putting the ADOS movement on the back burner by bringing up reparations for LGBT? Can we do two things at once? Is she putting it on the back burner? What's going on? What do you think, Robert?
I don't think she's putting it on the back burner. She's actually reached over ADOS and started and built another burner, because this burner is going to be behind that burner.
Okay, so this is going to be behind.
This is some bullshit. It's not gonna be something that gets a lot of traction, I believe. Even in the LGBT community, I don't believe it's going to get a lot of traction, because even though LGBT couples can get married, I still think it's a lot more of cohabitation type contracts with them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I don't think, it wasn't like, oh, a bunch of people rushed out to get married. I think that but there's a lot of different reasons people don't get married economically, and they still have to get taxed at a higher rate. So if those people get married, do we want to then go back and say, oh, we get to give these people reparations too because of the economic forces that prevented them from being married?
Right.
I just don't see how this is important. It's
So you
nothing. It's
you
just
said
a way to keep your face in the news coming up to the debates.
Elizabeth Warren is out here pandering, is what you're saying. She's pandering. Right. She's trying to just throw stuff against the wall. And so she's going to go ahead, since reparations is out there and we're talking about reparations, she'll be for reparations for ADOS. Also, like you said, add a whole nother burner. So she's not putting the ADOS movement on the back burner. She added another burner, and she's trying to throw this on there as well. So you're just saying she's just throwing stuff against the wall, basically, Robert?
Right. This will never be considered more important than than black, than blacks receiving reparations. This is not going to be more important than that.
Do you think it's more possible that it'll happen?
Absolutely not. I don't think it's possible because I don't think it's going to have the traction or the support. It's like this. This is a microcosm of a larger issue here. The main issue is that there are several of the candidates in the Democratic Party that believe that the Democratic voter is not smart enough to understand anything outside, or they're entrapped in this emotional whirlpool of identity politics. So, like for instance, when Joe Biden, I didn't even want to mention his name because, but I will mention his name, Joe Biden. Okay.
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe, creepy Uncle Joe, when he started to run, when he announced that he was running for president, if you watch his announcement video and his announcement speech, what was it about? It was about the Charlottesville attacks. It was about how Donald Trump is a racist and a xenophobe and a sexist. It was about the pandering to the identities of people, not bringing any true ideas or any kind of change. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden, I'll find the footage and shoot it to you, Tyrone, so you can check it out.
Okay.
He just did a fundraiser with a bunch of corporate people, corporate thugs, as I like to call them. And he basically said that nothing was going to fundamentally change when he becomes president. He was basically going to uphold the status quo for these corporate interests. And he told them that they're not the problem. It's just that there are people that are trying to make it look like they're the problem, but your guys aren't really the problem. See, he's pandering to get corporate votes. And then he's playing identity politics because he knows he needs the people. See, the people aren't smart. So he believes that the people aren't smart enough to get past the emotional effect of identity politics, and everybody's just a bunch of the radical SJWs. And then he's talking to the corporate people at the corporate meeting like, hey, don't worry, guys. You already know Uncle Joe's going to take care of you. And that same thing that same spirit is with Elizabeth Warren. She is playing identity politics right now. She's saying, I need the LGBT vote. How do I get LGBT people to vote for me as opposed to vote for Bernie Sanders? Because LGBT people, what are they concerned about? Healthcare. But can she beat Bernie on healthcare? No. What are they worried about? Debt. Can she beat Bernie on student loan debt? No.
And she knows that he's going to say no about reparations.
Right. Even though they're LGBT people, they're still people, Americans like everybody else. They're concerned about this. They have the same lives and concerns that all Americans have, but she can't confront the front runners on these type of issues. So she looks for a way to slide in on them and says, oh, reparations. She connects a word that has strong feelings and meaning to somebody that feels like they've been robbed, right? Reparations. Right. And then she says, for you guys in the LGBT community that got married. She plays on emotional
Okay.
Identity politics.
All right, let me ask you something because I'm not bright as this light bulb that I have in my hand. It's not screwed in, it's not very bright. Explain to me what identity politics is.
Okay. Identity politics is, exactly what it sounds like. Your politics being linked to your identity and who you are. And in using that in order to categorize people. For instance, I'm a black man. So if someone walks up to me before they ever see me and they just go by my identity, they would assume some things about my politics.
Okay.
One is that I'm a Democrat, okay, which I'm not. One other one would be that I'm all about reparations, which I am, but not in a vacuum. I have a nuanced view on it, right? That I believe that, that I hate the police, which, yeah, I don't know if I hate the police or not. I really don't hate all police officers.
You strongly dislike bad police officers.
Right. But you can use that. You go up to a gay person and you might assume things about their politics, or that, and you play on those things in order to, and that's politics. And you play politics. You play with those hot button issues for those people in order to garner votes or garner support. And so, and it's more about them being black than it is about them being American. And you don't focus on the things that kind of focus on the things that make us all Americans, the people that we all worry about. You know what I mean?
Okay. So just appealing to their identity, well, their identity as you would see it when you meet somebody. So for example, if I were to meet somebody in the LGBT community, me playing identity politics would be making sure that I just continue to politic toward the LGBT issue and their that they have, and skip everything else, but just to stay on what their identity is, just so I could play on their identity. Here, let me get back
or
to
like identity catering. Like,
okay,
I'm a white guy, but I'm catering for a bunch of black people. I'm gonna serve fried chicken and watermelon because I can't go wrong.
Got you. Vivid as day. Let me get back to this tweet Elizabeth Warren put up. She says, it wasn't until marriage equality became law that gay and lesbian couples could jointly file tax returns so that they pay more in taxes. Our government owes them more than $50 million for the years of our discriminatory tax code left them out. We must right these wrongs. Okay. And then let me go down. What does it say down here on the bottom? 4 years, LGBTQ couples didn't get tax benefits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, then it says LGBTQ plus Americans have historically received unjust treatment by the United States government, but some politicians are now looking to. All right, that's a whole nother article. So yeah, we read the tweet, and then I found this one actually interesting. Let me go back because I think it actually gives a breakdown on how she's okay. It says, what's the issue? In the United States, married couples are allowed to file joint taxes, which can result in lesser payments to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, because the tax deductions. The tax perks of being married range from small benefits, like only having to file one tax return, to more substantial benefits, like the potential to drop down a tax bracket. The problem is that we're couples legally married in 8 states following Massachusetts' decision to allow same-sex marriages in 2014, but the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, prevented same-sex couples from filing their federal taxes together. Okay, so I guess that's the problem.
Well, there were Jim Crow laws that prevented black people from owning property.
Well, but see, that's why people are going to say all these things get put in front of ADOS.
But how is this front? Do you really think about this? How many articles do you see about this? How many people are talking about this?
Not many. Or you know what, Robert? This is a distraction. They're trying to distract you from the ADOS movement. This is a distraction, Robert.
If you're distracted, then you have bigger problems than any of these movements, because we're humans and you need to be able to multitask. And if you're something is very, very, very important to you, like reparations, something's very, very important, it should be very, very important the next day. And really this is not going to move the needle in the media. They're looking for everything that Warren says, anything these presidential candidates say, they're going to put on some news outlet, but this is not going to move the needle. And I guarantee you that Elizabeth Warren, next time she goes on television, she's not going to be talking about this. The debates are going to come up tonight. She's not going to bring this up.
Yes,
and that's reparations is going to be up. Is going to come up at the debates. You can guarantee it. Elizabeth Warren's on TV tonight. This does not come up.
So you don't think this is going to come up tonight? If it come up tonight, I'm going to say, Robert, she talked about it.
But why would it come up? You know why? I think you're going to get the rest of the candidates kind of just shrug their shoulders like, what? Like, this isn't what we need. They'll all detract and be like, no, what we really, because let's be honest, people of Soapbox Heroes. Let's be honest.
Okay.
We need to be talking about healthcare. We need to be talking about the environment. We need to be talking about regime change wars. Do you know that America right now is on the brink of war with Iran? We're baiting Iran into war. We need to be talking about these things. This is not the time for these type of things. Even when you're talking about reparations, yes, it's an issue that can be tabled, but it's not. To me, there are really more important things than getting reparations right now. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay, so you said there's more important things than reparations. Do you think that a lot of people, especially in the African American, ADOS, Black people, however you want to classify people, the ADOS group of people, do you think that they will not vote if they don't get reparations from a certain candidate? Do you think that's going to hold people from actually going to the polls?
I hope not. But it's like this. That's one thing you run the risk of. I think it's like I've always said, whatever's the most important issues to you, make sure you know what they are, know where the candidates stand on that. And if you don't feel like you have a choice, you don't want to vote for any candidates, whether it be the primary, whether it be the presidency, and you don't want to vote for either one of those candidates, don't vote for them. I say go vote for other reasons. There's going to be other kind of ballot initiatives, local things that go on as well in your area that you're going to need to make sure that you're voting for, different ballot measures and things of that nature, state, local, and some national. You may have a senator coming up and definitely your representative for the House of Representatives. You're going to need to have that, vote for them as well. But if you don't feel like there's a presidential candidate that's observing your interests, don't vote for them.
Okay. All right, Robert, good talk. That's all I had. I just wanted to ask some questions and see if, the ADOS was getting passed over, talk a little bit about Bernie, because these are things that we hear. And I get up and I'll see it in the morning and it'll cross my mind and I say, well, let's get this clear. Let's see what some people think. So, Robert, I want to thank you for coming on again. Hey, when you guys catch Robert and Prince doing meme knowledge, make sure you tune in. Make sure you do some sharing. I always make sure I do the same. Do the same thing whenever you see anything coming from this network. We're going to bring it together, scale upward, and move forward. Robert, what you want to say?
Watch it. CBS tonight, live at 8 p.m. I think that's Eastern. Maybe it's Eastern.
Eastern?
Check your local listings, but you guys need to watch the debates. If you can't watch them, if you're at work or something like that, go ahead and make sure you're getting them afterwards. But you need to see these candidates. You need to see what they're talking about. You need to hear the answers to their questions, and you need to understand where they stand before you cast your vote. So inform yourself and get it straight from the horse's mouth tonight. I will be watching, definitely. I know Prince is going to be watching as well. We're going to come through with some analysis on that, on meme knowledge this week. And we are going to make sure that we, pay close attention and we have a deeper dive into what some of these candidates are saying. So today and tomorrow, make sure you guys are watching those debates and get prepared, get informed, and then take advantage of being an American by participating in the process.
All right, you guys, we're about to get out of here. This is again, my name is Tyrone Irvin. This is Soapbox Heroes. Hit the notification bell so you could be notified. Thanks again, Robert, and we out.
Right.
Summertime. It goes down in the summertime. Yeah, they gon' try to take some of mine. Some of mine, oh, it's killing season. Yeah. Somebody won't make it home this evening. Cause everybody wanna take a shot, Willie Beam, man. Yeah. You get one, I get two, now we're even. Or do you even know what's going on in the city that I come from? Well, you don't fear the OGs, just the young ones. Loaded weapons in the hands of a dum-dum. Somebody leaving in a bag, that's a lump sum. Lord, no, I'm sick of sending all my prayers to Marie Church. Them car washes in the RP t-shirts. Another candlelight service where I see another Father Christ to cry. Oh, now mother got him on in the summertime. Now she really hate the summertime. The summertime. And you know niggas dying in the summertime. Yeah. And she cried, Lord, why you take one of mine? The love of mine must be killing season. June, July, even August, September. That's why we stay prayed up. These streets too dangerous. We need to wake up right now. My cousin got popped in the summertime. But nobody seen a thing. His body laid there cold in the summertime. So cold, yeah. I guess he didn't pull his gun in time. Gun in time, oh, he's killing season. I pray that we all make it home this evening. Yeah. Cause somebody tryna ball out Willie B, man. You get one, I get two, now we're even. But they don't even know what's going on in the. This day could be my time to lose. So sorry mama, but I copped the tool. Young man doing what he gotta do. You never know who's got it out for.
Thank you guys for watching. This has been Soapbox Heroes. Once again, I want to thank Robert Kelly for coming on. I want to thank the few people who jumped on and watched. I really appreciate it. If you guys get a chance, one more time, share. Let people know what we're doing around here. This is Soapbox Heroes. My name is Tyrone Irvin. I look good sitting behind this podium. We out.